is different, but it's not that hard. It's
My problem
not
is,
weird. It's very different in some ways.
yeah, I'm not confident enough with the rules for the physical game sitting in front of me to make
Don't
the
worry,
leap
me
to
too.
the
I,
vassal.
I,
You
I
know?
For
don't
now,
remember most of them.
for now, as we do all the things, and especially as we do like the setup, I'm going to describe things probably through the video more than I am through
Our listeners will be learning along with me. There, I've put a positive spin on it.
There you go. All right, so I see Tom here in the main room, but I don't see you. So let's say demo.
Here's Walter. Yeah,
Yeah,
Walter is with us.
I'm going to create a new room, demo
Yes.
game. So you should be able to get in there. Okay, so I think we're all connected now, and I had done this through the main vassal starting Littoral Commander 1.0 module, and then I choose the look for online game. Then we came into the main room. I generated a new room, create. I gave it a name, and I said create, and then Walter and Tom joined that room. Okay, so now I'm going to. Looks like it just finished sending information to Walt. All right, so now I'm gonna open up the game, and then we determine. I am gonna start a log file. What the hell? Demo log 001, and what this does is it'll actually save a blow by blow, if you will, or literally a step by step, including all the moves, all the rolls, and all that jazz. So we can actually step through it later and talk about the game in a hot wash or whatever. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start saving a log. You can give it a comment if you want. You don't have to. So I don't even bother. Usually, like if I want to describe what I'm doing, I'll just do it here. I'm typing something or whatever. And they should be able to see that. And it also gets like if you're trying to do a walkthrough, if I was doing like a solo walkthrough and I didn't want to talk or whatever, I could literally just create like a demo file.
Yeah, we need to rejoin. Otherwise, we can't. If we joined before you open the game, we can't choose side, from what I see. Or maybe we can.
Okay. What do you?
Oh, we do not.
Well, I don't. Yeah. Okay. So he came in as blue captain. Then Tom, you're going to come in as red captain.
Okay.
Okay. Just tell me when.
Yeah, I am blue captain and I see your map.
Yeah, but you need to be red.
Sorry, yeah, red.
Okay, you're red. Okay, so you see, but let me ask you something. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna hit this not moved button just to clear everything there. See?
Mm-hmm.
I think when I saved it originally, I had been moving things around, so that's why some of them had moved markers. I'm just curious. What do you see right now, Tom?
I see my red units and blue units. All of them are hidden.
All of the units are hidden. All right, so I think
same here. Yeah.
Same there. Everybody's hidden. Okay, so what I think you need to do, like Tom,
take ownership.
If you mouse, you got to take control of them all. So I would mouse around all of your reds, and then right click, and then say take ownership.
Yeah, doing it. I think. Oh, wait, what? Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this was the first thing that I was working with this vassal module, and I was absolutely flummoxed. So that this is the first thing I really needed to know.
Yeah, that's a vassalism, and that's a module of this moduleism. I think there's probably ways to improve the module to make that easier. But
you know what? This is the only module where I've seen this, and this is because probably different players can take ownership of different stacks. I think.
Right. Yes, and I think that's important for this game in particular because each player is supposed to take on a very specific task group.
Yes, and scenario doesn't actually give certain players certain stacks. They can take what they want, right? Because
in the production version of the game, you can you basically stack. Well, no. I mean, you have very specific units and very specific task groups. Like if we look at the scenario, we're doing the
task groups,
beachhead.
yeah, but it probably was easier for them to. If you have more players, you can assign different task groups to different players, right? And this is easy
Right.
way to apply it, because I don't know any other module that does what we did right now.
Well, yeah, because everybody can take anything, right? You can.
I didn't know it's even option, right? To take ownership.
Right. Well, what's cool about it though is, I mean, you literally, I mean, if you wanted to strategically, you could literally swap players on track. You know, what I mean, you literally could change commanders and kind of
that's
people. Like if people have memorized how people play things, swap it up. I mean, seriously, people do that, by the way. Let's see. All right. So the problem though at this point is I don't think I'm in here as I can't see anything. So like you all have taken ownership, but I don't. Maybe I can. Let me retire and join as the umpire or the observer.
You should. If you change to umpire, you should be able to see everything.
There is no umpire.
Oh, it's observer. Then in observer you might not see anything.
Oh, referee. There is a referee spot.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So now,
if you retire, I don't know what happens. Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah.
I'm referee, but I still can't.
I don't know why, but retire is a little confusing, but I think it's the default vassal button. And when you retire, you can change your side. It's confusing.
He's done it. The problem is referee. You don't see the blue units. You're still seeing the.
No, but let me see if I at least see your. Okay, so I at least see I don't. I'll be as blind as anybody then. I'll be as blind. I'm literally going to be watching this blind, but I'll at least. God, I don't know how are we supposed to do that. I don't
see everything. If you can't, someone botched the module a little.
An alternative, since this is a learning game.
Yeah, why don't you? We could.
Well, I was gonna say you could share your screen and run things and have us make decisions, so that we're showing the whole scheme to the channel.
You mean let me just?
We can just make our units visible all the time. Although
just go ahead and do that. Yeah, let's just play it open. We'll play it open for now.
How do I do that?
You flip them.
You select all of them and right click and flip, or Control F is a shortcut.
Did it work?
Yes.
I'm saying you can drag and select all of them and flip them at once if you want.
So there's probably, I mean, this could be vassal. There could be a way to fix that, man, and somehow in the module.
Knowing from other modules, it's absolutely fixable, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit to show folks stuff. All right, now let us start with Walter as far as his setup real quick. Okay, Tom, so if you don't mind just kind of
go ahead.
All right. So Walter, all right, so you have let's look at the scenario setup. Okay, so we're going to look at USMC, USN. You have 2 land task forces or tasked groups, right? Which are listed. If you ever need to get to the scenario setup, of course, there's a big old scenario setup button, and then we're doing the beachhead. Okay, just in case you want to see what your task force groupings are.
Yeah, I've got the rule book open in front of me too.
You can actually in the game you can reform task groups as action points. You can split an existing task group if you want, by just using action points to move only what you want to move, right? As a stack, you can move the entire stack as an action point. So there is benefit to staying organized, right? Does that make sense? Right. So in other words, like for example, you have a stack here, right? And interesting, you only showed the top one, which is fine. I think you might need to like do this and then hide it. By the way, it looks like you only flip the top one. By the way,
Yeah. Do you see all of mine on this
Do what?
stack? Do you see all of my units?
I do.
Where?
So here.
Okay. How do you do that little pointy thing? By the way.
Left alt and left click.
Okay, perfect. So this one, you mean?
Yeah, if all of them. So
Yeah, I see them all.
All you need to do, Walter, is hold left button and drag and select all of them, and then hit Control F. This is what I did, and all of them were flipped.
What do you see now? Because I've done that.
Only top
Okay,
guy.
I see it because you flipped it back and forth. I think you gotta fix the one. There you go. Now
Wait.
flip them all.
I tried to flip them. Apparently, I tried to flip them, and it worked. I can flip your units. That's weird. Or maybe not. I don't know what happened.
All right.
I lost ownership. But so
Oh, sorry.
at
Hold on,
this
hold on.
point, which ones of mine are hidden?
Right now, I don't see. I mean, I only see your destroyers.
Yeah, the same on my end. But wait, did I took ownership from you? No, I didn't.
Just
took it
Now
there
what
you
do you
go.
see?
Oh, there
Okay.
you go.
Yeah, now we got. Okay. So let's go back to where I was. All right. So where was this one alpha? Was it here? Yeah, I think it probably was.
1 Alpha is in Task Force Chicago with Lima. So
I don't. Where the hell's Lima? I thought I had Lima up here. Oh, there's Kilo.
Lima.
All right, hold on. This got flopped. Somebody flopped it. All right, so on.
This is a fiasco. Let's see. Lima. I see Lima. It is. I can't read the hex labels. One moment. Lima is in Y10. So now 1 Alpha just goes over there. Okay.
Yeah, just fix that. Yeah, that's cool. All right, now, so these are valid starting points for these destroyers, but if you look at the scenario setup, you're actually allowed to move them a little bit if you wanted to. So, for example, here it says U.S. forces may deploy anywhere in Taiwan.
Right.
But the Task Force San Francisco, which is the surface task group, may be deployed within the hexes. Blah 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 blah. Okay. I put them as forward as they could be here. I'm assuming you don't care about that. All right.
The
now
destroyers are fine. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about the westerly limit of that line. So
yeah, and if they're going to intercept strikes, they need to be closer to the Marines than the unit performing the strike. Yeah.
Correct, and that's something I screwed up a lot when I first played this game. Is yes, absolutely. Even though in some cases they might be hypersonic and the other is not, or something like that, it's not taken into account, right? It's a game. So yes, you have to. Let's take a look at one of these real quick. Yeah, so there's.
And stacking is unlimited, right?
Stacking is unlimited, correct?
Yeah.
But
well, task
downsides from what I remember.
What you want to do is you also potentially get some MILDEC or military deception units. Let's take a look at your setup real quick to see if you have any MILDEC.
I have.
No, you don't. Plan does. So the Chinese Navy does get MILDEC units, which is military deception. So what you do is you can disperse your deception between your stacks of groups, right? Which of course is simulating all different types of signal based or human int types of intel deference, right? So you don't get any to start with. You can purchase them, and we'll go over that here in a little bit. Okay. There are cards that there are MILDEC cards for blue. Okay. Any immediate questions, Walter, as far as what you see here? The green numbers are your ground assault CV or combat value, right? So the subscript numbers, like for example on 22 Bravo there, the 80, correct? The 8 is the combat value, right? And then the 0, the superset number, right? The exponential number, or however you want to say that, superset, is the range of that combat value, right?
Right.
The red, we're looking at 22 Bravo, which is, let's find it up here. Where's 22 Bravo up here?
Yeah, I have the more general observation that there's no example set up, and I'm going to stop at Beachhead, so I have no idea how to lay these forces out.
Well, okay. Let's take a look at the objectives for the scenario. Okay, give me 1 second.
Landing or subsequent seizure of a beachhead.
Yeah, this is something that actually didn't come with the game, by the way, Sebastian. I'm calling you out on that. Is that, and I think it would be good to get players this PDF, because the original game had objectives set. All right. So, for example, we're looking at plans. Awesome plan to take over Taiwan here. They need to complete one of the following conditions: destroy all the U.S. units on the map. Always fun to try, at least. This constitutes an instant victory. Achieve an advantage in victory points by the end of turn 5. Okay. 5 VP for the control of Taipei, the capital. Requires at least 3 plan MC units to occupy the hex by the end of turn 8. This is kind of weird. That's contradictory, right? All right. 3 VP for each Taiwanese port or airport seized. This requires at least 2 plan Marine Corps units to occupy the hex by the end of turn 5, which is interesting. Okay, so, I wonder if that's a typo or not. I don't know. All right, so 2 VP for each U.S. Navy unit destroyed. So this is interesting. And then 1 VP for each point on the influence meter. There are, the PRC team has initiative and can choose to go first or force the USMC to go first in the action stage. If the USMC team goes first, they will have initiative moving forward. The influence meter starts with a +2 US advantage. So we do need to mark that.
And I mean, I have 2/3 of a littoral regiment, and I'm covering this enormous island. So the whole island's in play.
Correct.
Wow. So
well,
I mean,
it's rough, but I will say I've played it. But you also have a ton of potential. You have a lot of support in your JCCs, in your cards, right? So you need to kind of.
That's the next issue we're going to have to go through together, because I read it and I don't quite understand how to do my hand. So
okay.
Yeah, that's problem for everyone at the beginning.
Yeah, that's fine. And we'll look at your cards here in a moment. And I have a feeling that we're probably only going to get through one turn today. It's fine. That's fine. We're going through setup. We're trying to go through learning the game, and then you'll want to go back and reread it, and then we'll actually play for real probably the second. But that's fine.
Right.
How we play basically every game, right? So you're welcome to move these stacks, I think, anywhere.
Right.
On the island, the primary island here.
And
you
it's
know,
like, okay, I've got a part of a regiment. I've got to stop a beach landing that could be anywhere. So
yeah, I mean, I'd start by you obviously want them. You want them within enough range for your LRS to be effective. That's one hint, right? So you want, for example, this stack. Let's look at your stack here. they all have a range of 9 hexes. So you're actually not in a worse position right now. You don't have an idea of necessarily where they're going to go, but this is not a very long distance in your radars and so forth. I mean, you know where they're at, generally speaking, unless they have a whole stack of mill deck, which is an option, by the way. So yeah, I would just I think you're fine there. Yeah, that would be probably fine. And then this gray, the gray number is how many movement points you have. Okay. The really cool thing about this game is that the map is color coded with your movement points, as well as these numbers here give you the movement points as well. So not only is there a visual cue, which by the way, they did accessibility testing on and for color blindness and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. Which are very cool, by the way, Sebastian. Because I do have colorblind friends. And it's a pain in the ass when I play them because they always screw up and they still kick me in the ass, but that's fine. All right. So anything else on here you don't understand? Do you have any logistic units?
I do have 2. I've got Lima and Kilo, and I've got to lay these out, so I'm covering.
Okay. So let's take a okay, yeah, put them where you want, and then I'll talk about it. All right, so logistics is really cool in this game. It's really simple, but it's really effective as a rule, and it does come into play significantly, I think. Because what you're going to find is, the whole principle, the Hayes principle of fire first effectively, right? Pretty much standard for naval and land. You want to get as much fire on the enemy as possible, as quickly as possible, but you want it to be effective. Now, the problem with that is you got to throw a shit ton of fire missions on an enemy in order to get through all their defenses, right? So what you're going to find is that you're going to run out of stuff pretty quick, no matter what. Within a turn or two, most of your units probably be out of supply, which is pretty realistic, I think. Now, the cool thing is that one thing to remember is a logistics unit will not reveal itself by providing the logistics. That's one rule I was rereading today, and I don't know if I've necessarily been doing that properly. So, for example, if this Lima was out here on its own within range, in this case, you'll see that it can supply 2 combat. It can supply two logistical supply unit marker movements within 6 hexes. So that's like its longer range. That's like its helo based logistics resupply. But it can supply 6 supply to nearby units within 3 hexes. Right. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But it can only do one or the other, and it can only supply one type of supply, and that type of supply is by color code. So it can resupply ground supply, it can resupply LRS supply or long range strike supply, or it can resupply IEMD air defense, right? The purple. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in other words, but the cool thing about it is it can supply any. I don't know why you moved that.
I was thinking about what should be with my supply units. Should these guys be?
Yeah. You want to defend it. Yeah. Perfect. Right. Okay. So good move. And Tom wouldn't be seeing this. That's fine. So again, what's let's see. So its CV, its local defense that's interesting. Okay, so it has a local defense. That's that SAM unit, or that anti-air unit, whatever it might be in reality. As a matter of fact, we can kind of go look at that if you want. Which one is that? It's one of these. It's an MRIC section. Medium range intercept capability is an integrated air missile defense, IAMD. Sorry, I was saying that wrong before. Equipped with the Tamir, is a Tamir interceptor missile and non-kinetic capabilities. So you have 2 I'm trying to think of the benefit of the 6-0. So in other words, you have a 13 combat value purple or
That
anti-air.
intercepts out to 4, right? Yeah.
Right. And you have a 6, which is in the same hex, the 0 range. So I'm wondering if that means you can fire both at the same time within the same. You can defend yourself within the same turn.
2 different types of munitions. That's what it says on the symbology. But yeah.
Right. So that's I'm kind of, we're getting into some nitty gritty here, but I kind of want to look that up. What is it? Let me look up IAMD real quick. I just want to see.
Think about how many Taiwanese units are not on.
I just want to see if you can. I'm just wondering if that means you can defend yourself and defend others at long distance in the same turn. I think that's. I don't know. I don't know what the real benefit of having that. The two types of munitions, because you're not. Oh, normally you have 2 colors of cube, right? So what's interesting, like for example, on these HIMARS, right?
This exact unit is on the symbology page. It just says 2 different interception values represent 2 different types of munitions. It's all it says on that page.
All right. So the problem I have with that is technically we should have an orange here on these MREC sections, because these are 2 different types. There should be 2 different types of munitions to mark.
Yeah, because some units have 2 types of munitions.
Yes,
like
and that's like these HIMARS. When you have 2 colors, I'm going to ask Sebastian about this if he's watching this.
But only some of them, not all units.
Right. I just don't know why. I don't know why you would. Why would you separate this value without wanting to separate the logistics of it? Right. I mean, you really there probably should be this here, so that
my assumption at this point is you would use both if the circumstances permit, because of the same color.
Okay, so I'm going to just say that it's the same supply. It's just you can fire both in the same turn. That's what I'm gonna rule it as.
No, yeah, I think it's like this. You can fire both of them, but when we played, at least we did it like this, because HIMARS had also
right,
2
but you
different
could
types
only
of
do one of them.
munitions. One was longer range.
Right, but you could only do one of them
at the time in one turn.
I think so. I think you could only fire
that.
one
I don't know.
Yes,
I thought you can fire everything if you want to, really.
No, you can't.
No?
You have to pick one or the other. Just like the logistics, you can, if you have 2 of the same color, you can only. Hold on, let me find that rule.
I will need to read through that. Unfortunately,
you have to pick a type.
Book.
Yeah, when you have the same color, it represents 2 different ways to supply 2 different interception value, represent 2 different types of munitions. Yeah, 2 different long range, 2 different types of munitions. So really, these units probably should have a separate orange marker. It's the same thing here, where you can only do one or the other. Let me see where it mentions that.
I'm just thinking about what we're representing here, because if you have a unit that has gun and missile ADF,
you know what? In
there's
this
plenty
instance,
of time
I
to
don't
use both.
know.
Yeah.
You know where the best example is in the Aegis ship, where you have 2 different missiles, and one of them is standard, normal standard missile, and second is the ballistic interception capable standard missile. So you can have like the 2 different kinds of missiles, for instance. I don't know if it's the HIMARS example also, but it might be just two different kinds. One can be like general purpose,
Here it is
cheap
right here.
missile, and second
See
is
this right
long
here?
range, expensive stuff.
See this right here?
Yeah.
A unit may use only one LRS value per initiative combat action.
Okay.
So
That's
so there's
explicit. That's okay.
there's a left and right value. You can only use one type.
Okay.
So we're left wondering what the smaller value would ever be used for. So
because it's a different logistical. Okay, so here, look at these HIMARS right here. You see these?
Yeah.
You see how there's a different red and an orange. Both the orange is the smaller of the two. That's the left value of the two. So you just have different logistical. The reason you would use that other type is because you have some left, right? Right. You know what I'm saying? You're more often than not, you're going to use your better munition first, right? And then you're going to start expending your orange, right?
I don't know. When we played, I know I had a HIMARS where I used the shorter range munition every time the unit was in range, right? And I tried to keep the long range if the units moved outside the range.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
another
shorter
way.
one.
That's
So
another way.
not,
That's probably the more tactical reason to do that. But it's also
yes,
a logistical thing too, right?
That's too. Yeah. So it's not like it's not without reason.
Right. So my question to Sebastian then is for these MRIC sections, how much supply should the lower value have? For now, I'm just not even going to bother, and it just comes out of the same supply, which might be his original intention, right? But we'll see. I'll ask him about that. Okay, back to the game. So that's really it. We actually just went over a pretty good amount of rules right there. So again, you have a left value and right value. You have to use one with your action point expenditure, and a unit and or stack can only expend one action point to do one core action per turn per time up. Okay. Any other questions specific to the unit markers or what's visible here? These guys can go 7. They have an intrinsic auto detection within 5 hexes, I believe. I need to look that back up.
Yep.
Land units have an auto detection of the enemy within 1. There are plenty of JCC cards that allow you to detect things earlier than that. An enemy needs to be detected before it can be targeted.
Yes.
So we do. So what we might need to do is, because we're playing open here, we might need to come up with like a marker for something that's being. We might need to figure out a way to mark it.
I would just move this guy. The detected guys I would move up or down or next to. I don't think we'll be aggravating so much.
I mean, honestly, we could play it. We could play it blind at this point. I mean, and I'll just be blind as I'm showing the game. It's fine. I at least wanted. We could just hide everything. And then only reveal it when you fire it. Okay, so that's another thing, is that when you do fire missions or ground assault, that you do reveal yourself. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the actions is you can move and conceal. So let's look at the player aid. Again, right here is what I'm talking about, these core actions. A player may conduct core actions with units assigned to them. Each core action requires 1 action point. For each turn, you get 3 action points right here. In each impulse, the active player has 3 action points to conduct core actions. So that's something to keep in mind as well as you're moving things around and as you're keeping things stacked or not stacked. The more organized they are, the more combined movement and attacks that you can do with them, right? But it might be beneficial to have them on their own, like you have here, which makes sense because you want your logistics to be able to supply multiple units of things. The only other thing about logistics is you can only do one resupply action in the phase, right? In the turn. But again, you can supply multiple units, but only one type of logistical replacement. So you can only give them supply for green or red or purple. Now that there's a cool rule in that I think you can do an automatic move. You can kind of do an intrinsic or implied move to get logistics, and it doesn't cost. I can't remember if there's a limit to that movement. I think it's up to 3. Let me go look at that real quick because it's a pretty important rule. Hopefully this goes right to the section. Okay, cool. Here it is. The player may move a ground unit using 1 AP into range of logistics units and then be resupplied. The ground unit may then conduct the second half of its original core action. Interesting. So you can actually move, be resupplied, and complete your core action in that same phase, which is a pretty cool maneuver. This is kind of an advanced rule.
Mm-hmm.
So is that understood? You can
because you got to have supply to perform it, but you can start out of range, move in range, and then
That's right. So you can basically move within range of the logistics units, get resupplied, and fire in the same phase, which is a pretty cool thing, I thought.
Can we go through the joint capability cards? Because that I don't understand at all. Yeah.
Okay. The best thing also to keep in front of you is page 2. Oh, by the way, this has 2 pages. I missed that before. But this is key. This will help you a lot. In the player aid, page 2 here, not only do you have the symbology, but these right here will help you a lot. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is there a particular, you're playing blue.
Yeah.
Where's my hand?
Yeah, I don't see that when I open the hand.
Oh, wait, here.
Well, no, I do. Right, I see.
Look on the wrong one. All right.
Yeah, right. An empty hand, but I do see the blue cards thing. So.
Yes.
Why do I have? No, that's card.
But,
these are unused. These are unused cards. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
then,
what I discovered is there's no way to go through the stack. Maybe you know a way and pull out that Aegis card that the ships.
You have to find it.
Yeah. That's
you have to do this.
No, there is an option. You right click on the deck and you have draw specific cards.
Right. So
option, and there you can find it what you want.
Yeah, it's a little bit of paint. Here it is right here. And then what you do is you hit OK, and then it's on the top. Does that make sense?
It does, and I have to replicate what you just did.
And then what's cool here, I'll put it. Let me see if I can flip it and put it back. Return the deck. Okay. So what you do? Okay, here's your deck. You right click, specific card, find it.
Yeah, I'm there. I just have to figure out where the card is in the list.
Well, that's the pain in the ass. Yes. I mean, one
found it. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. It ends up on top just because that's the way it was. Okay. And then what's cool, what you got to do is you got to put it down here. You put it down below this. Oops, the hell? Oh, you took it. Did you just take that?
Yeah, okay. I'd put it in the hand.
Yeah, you put it in whichever, you send it to your hand. Yeah. Or you return it to the deck or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Cool. Let's take a look at a couple other ones. Let's look at some specific ones. I think we need to take out the logistics of the tactical network. Okay, so each side actually needs to take out their number 1 card, the tactical network. So it should be here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this out on the, where'd it go?
Sorry, I put it in my hand again.
Okay, no, you want it out. I think, yeah, I guess technically you can keep it there, but I mean, I think in the game. You're supposed to keep it out here and then potentially put cubes on it. So if you want here, I'm gonna take it out of your hand. Did you put it back?
I did. I put it back on the blue cards thing. So.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it out.
Oh, on the table. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, it's big. All right. Yeah. So we keep it out here, and then what we're gonna do is you add. Where the hell's the gray marker? Oh, here's.
I placed mine.
Oh, here's the gray. All right. So as we get gray cubes, we put them on here. Okay. Oh, blue cubes.
And now my Aegis card has disappeared. I'll go get another one.
Okay. So there are other cards that. Oh, it's right. It's in here. It went here. I don't know. Somehow I'm gonna return it to deck, Walter. Okay.
I'll drag it away.
Okay.
Now it's in my hand.
All right. Cool. All right. So we're gonna keep these out here visible. I'm pretty sure that these remain visible during the game, if I recall correctly. And then
I think they do.
And this is a pretty good. Okay, for every successful enemy cyber, add one. For every successful enemy cyber or EMS JCC, add one blue cube to this card. And if you have 0 to 1, there's no effect. 2 to 3, reduced by 4. This affects all. Ooh, yeah. These are really interesting. I've really only seen people that have played the game a few times and understand it all effectively use this, right? This is a very vital way to win the game. I would call this an advanced tactic for Littoral Command. Is you want to keep playing cyber cards if you can, right? Whenever you get a chance, whenever it makes the most sense to. But if you can get this up to like 2 or 3, man, that reduces by 4 all LRS and intercept values, which is amazing. 4 or more, you're reducing the enemy by like 7. So if you can really beef up your cyber warfare against the other guy, you can really screw up their ability to commit to their original plan. Honestly, right? I think possibly even to almost too much of a degree, but I think it takes probably most of the game to really even try to get to that level. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get it to the 4+. I have seen people get it to the 2, and that's a pain in the ass. Once you get that -4 on your LRS intercept, it's a pain in the butt. So that's something to look out for trying to do on each other. Okay. Does that make sense?
I got another vassal question, which is there a place in here to track our CPs?
You mean your action points?
Well, at the start of the game, I get 20 CPs, so I was just like, where do I track that?
Maybe notes, but
well,
you will expend all of them by
you're gonna
card.
expend all of them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, you will expend them at once. So.
Which honestly, you can just we probably want to go ahead and openly start doing that right now because that's really next step. All right, so Walter, I think you're set up, right? Other than yourself buying your cards and planning with your other player, right? And more often than not, you probably have 3 people on your side, right? And that
right.
You would want to and need to discuss with each other. And I recommend if you're doing this game in real life, I would recommend sending them the card PDFs and getting. I mean, if you really want to do this kind of professionally, if you will, do it. I would get whatever that term means. Then I would give them the PDFs a few days ahead of time and pre-plan who's going to be on which side, and then let them by email or whatever discuss their general initial plan.
Yeah.
There will be, depending upon the scenario, there will be times when, let's see if that's even mentioned here. You should get another set.
Because very important part of this game is how you build your hand, and for that you need to have knowledge of your cards and enemy cards to make it effectively, and you probably get it after 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah, after a couple plays.
After a couple of playthroughs, so don't worry if you just take totally
just
useless cards.
maybe stick. The one thing I would recommend is stick to the red cards to start with, because those are usually the fire missions, right, or the assets that But some of the really cool things are, let's go look at
some intelligence cards are useful also.
Well, let's go to the player aid, because there's some persistent cards that are really nice.
Yes.
The persistent chases can be utilized once per turn by a member, so it's really for free, right? So these are cool cards. I like these cards for myself, because, well, first of all, there are air units, and I just kind of like air units. But let's go look for subs. Are interesting too. Let's take a look at a sub.
Yep.
Deploy 1 submarine on the SOT, and the SOT is the submarine tracker, right? So these are entirely hidden, right? And I've not played with them very often. As a matter of fact, most of the scenarios don't include them. I think that there is no limitation on this one. I don't see it mentioning that we can't use them. But I would recommend maybe we agree not to use them in this demo. Just, it's a lot more difficult to track, but it's done extremely well, I think, personally. I think that this game is really good in its depiction of naval units. I was pleasantly surprised with that. And not because I don't think Sebastian has had experience with that. It's just being an ex-Marine, I thought he might have more concentration on the land, but it's a very well balanced game for both, I think. What else? I kind of wanted to show you at least one. Let's see if we can find Combat Air Patrol. Here we go. So let's take a look at Combat Air Patrol. All right. So it's a persistent fighter. Wow, this has almost every symbol on it.
Yeah.
So again, it stays out, and you put it out kind of next to the tactical network card. You just kind of throw it in front on the map, just so you can keep yourself aware. You keep it in front of you, but you keep it on the map. So once per turn, choose 1 and roll 1 die. All options succeeding on a roll 1 to 13 on a d20. The A option is a fighter nullify. Nullify 1 or 2 enemy aviation JTCs, but not enemy tactical UAS. In effect, that basically just nullifies the effect of their card. Reduce all enemy attacks against 1 friendly aviation JCC by 8, which is pretty good too. Roll to reveal all units in 1 naval hex, then roll 2 dice to attack. So that's nice as well. So what I really like about this game is it's very much games within games within games. There's almost a game on every card, if you like, a mini game, right? And it's
kind of,
and it's designed very well, relatively well balanced and thought out. So this will persist until an enemy fighter unit. Let's look at,
because there is this Mobius, whatever it's called, this infinity symbol on it means this card persists. So it's kept in play after you play it, and this slashed circle means it can nullify other cards, and the fighter and missile reminds you that it can be removed by enemy fighter. For instance, let's say I have, because I also have card of like the Chinese fighters, and I can use it to try to nullify your card. once per turn. I can try to nullify your fighters with it, for instance.
Mhm.
All right, so here is an enemy. Here is an enemy. Once per turn, roll that on a 1 to 13 when the enemy targets a friendly JCC, reduce all enemy alerts. Okay, so it's basically an interception. Enemy fighter nullify must roll 1 to 11 to detect. Once per turn, roll 1 die 1 to 13 when the enemy targets a friendly JCC, reduce all enemy against by 9.
So this is a lot to sort out because I'm gonna have to decide what to spend the points on. Let's see.
Yes.
Yeah, and why don't we? I mean, honestly, we could kind of spend the rest of the time just kind of setting that up, and then we can play the game another day if you want.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd rather you kind of. I'd rather
So
you. Why don't
you can
we?
also look through cards and stuff like that. Another interesting point is because you can't. Is this scenario exactly the same as the one we played, where you get CPs halfway through the game to buy new
I
cards?
didn't. No, I don't think. I didn't see that.
Okay.
And let me double check the
Because
scenario.
that was very interesting, the scenario we played, where at the beginning not NATO, US side gets more CPs to buy initial hand than China, but you can't really have some of the cards nullify very specific enemy cards. So you
Mhm.
can't know exactly if you have good hand against enemy, you can be unlucky. But halfway through the scenario, you can buy new cards. And this time China gets more CPs than US. So after seeing what cards enemy has or used, you can react to that with buying new cards to maybe better counter it or try something else. I don't know if this scenario has it because I can't remember. Ooh, combat air patrol. That looks like something better.
How many CPs are you supposed to start with? Because it looks like the US team has 20 and then the PRC team has 30, but
Right.
and here I'm gonna pop this into the room as well. This is from the scenario file, but it's not necessarily mentioned in the. Is it mentioned here? This is another thing, Sebastian, that there probably needs to be a scenario booklet added somewhere on maybe Board Game Geek for people to get because that's important to know, right?
Yep.
So yes, Tom, at the beginning of turn 3 and 5, the US team gets 8 and the PRC gets 12. So that's kind of interesting. That's very important too, because you do kind of have to plan what you're doing because you want to kind of aggressively use there is some incentive to go, use it or lose it. Really, I mean, you're not going to lose it, but use it. You know what I mean? Get my suggestion for a new player is diversify your cards a bit, right?
Yeah.
So that you can learn the game. And that diversification can be done by the color.
That's interesting because it depends on the enemy forces, on the enemy plan. We played a scenario which doesn't involve ground combat, for instance, where we just could put all the ground unit cards aside. So it really depends on the scenario type and the enemy units types. But then you can be you can be but I think, for instance, you depending on the scenario, you can weight heavily on cyber attacks, hoping that the enemy, didn't prepare for that initially.
Well, right, but in order to defend against cyber,
You need to have cards against it. So
so you ultimately, I think what this game educationally, I think what this game does well is it shows you that you need to know your enemy, right? And in this case, the player, right? You need to know whether or not that person is potentially I mean, you don't want to necessarily play the game too much like this, but if it's a newer player, they're going to probably go more towards fire.
If you are a new player, you should diversify, probably. Yeah,
you probably should diversify. But like later on, as you play certain people, you'll if they tend to play plan more cyber, then you would have to prepare for that.
That's really interesting because then you get into like psychology of your player, right?
Yes, yeah. It's one of the only games I think that really kind of allows for that, which I think is pretty cool.
There's not many games that allows you to probably just
the way I described this game to Sebastian was it's like advanced Uno with ballistic missiles.
kind of, yeah. You're not far from the two.
Because really, it's a game of fuck over the f over the enemy, right? I mean, more so than necessarily direct tactical maneuvering. But what's cool is that everything that you screw the other person over with does affect the tactical war gamey parts of it, and the cool part about it is it's also pretty simple in how it judges it. They're right, he compressed things very well. I think it's a damn near perfect game. I don't say that lightly. For what it's trying to do, for what it's trying to educate on the EAOB approach and the DMO and the multi-domain, it's pretty damn good. So I'll shut up for a little bit and maybe I'll let you ask me questions about things that you see. Whenever you're picking stuff, make sure and look at the symbol and then go back and
So my theory was I wanted to disrupt naval operations, so I picked the tomahawks and the mines, and I, trying to think like if I had more points, I would load this even more. I was trying to think like NATO. I want AWACS, I want satellites, things like that, and I thought defensive cyber is my game rather than offensive cyber. So
that's probably good pick. Yeah.
And of course, I needed some HIMARS.
Yeah, right. Because HIMARS.
And because I was at 19, and they're only a point. So.
Yeah, you'll find yourself kind of doing that. Yeah. I'll let everybody finish. And if you still, I know, Walter, I think you have a physical copy right now, right?
Yes, yes, I do.
So what I would say is, yes, go ahead and pick them now. But if you want, what we'll do is we'll save it here, and probably, I need to go off for a little while. I don't know. Are you available later, Tom, at all?
Today? Not that much.
All right, maybe. Let me think here. What one's mine?
We can do something during the week if you have time. Especially that I need to check cards because other than some.
Here's the deal. Walter, do you have off work tomorrow?
I do.
I have work off tomorrow as well, by the way.
Yeah, I say government and higher ed, we get Juneteenth off.
So Tom, are you available tomorrow to?
Yeah, I am. For 2 to 3 hours, I am available.
All right,
anytime during the day.
About the same time period.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
right,
that'll work for me as well. So
cool. So why don't we save it here? First of all, before we end, I got a little bit more time. I got at least 20 minutes here. If you want, is there anything about the game you want to talk about? Do you want to go back? I feel like the cards you're going to need to go off and go read them right now. Okay, that's what I recommend. Before
I was taking the plastic off the decks.
Yeah, I would go. I think both of you have a pretty good diverse selection here so far, but I would go look at those because that's important. And then
I need to look through these cards because I don't know anything except that Navy cards. I don't know what I might need for this scenario.
Yeah. So Tom, I'm curious. Do you know why tomorrow's a national holiday in the United States?
What's today's date?
It's June 19th. Juneteenth.
No, I do not. I must admit, but Google will help me.
That's right. It started as a regional thing because it's at the end of the Civil War. It's the date that Union troops actually arrived in Texas and published the announcement that slavery had been abolished. So that's when they actually found out in Texas.
Okay.
So
yeah, I see it.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
So I
yeah.
was really at sea about the initial hand of drink capability cards. So this has been really helpful for that.
So the only thing we didn't really go into too much was ground assault, and we'll get into that as that happens. It's actually not that complicated. There's some nuances. There are some nuances to combined arms. I definitely recommend you go back and just search the PDF of the rules for combined arms move, because there's some movement involved with that, and then there's continued combat, which is basically staying in the same hex and just continuing your combat. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay for those attacks.
I have one question to you, Peter, because I see cards where I can place soft markers, special operation forces, and they can combat defensively. What they can do actually, because I can't remember.
I mean, the card usually says it.
No, you can place soft, but what can it? What can do it after it is placed? Because I see
which one, the sub?
No, special forces.
Special operation, special forces.
Okay, do you have an example card here?
Oh yeah, I had. Give me a second. I will find them eventually. No, I think it's the one. No, I will find it in a minute. Just talk about something, and I will.
Hold on, it's proxy. It's proxy forces. It's right here. Oop. Damn it!
I sabotaged you.
Oh, come on. Where did it go?
Oh my god.
Hold on, let's try that again.
I just asked if you know it from top of your head. Oh yeah.
I don't remember it, but it should say it on the card. Hold on, it's right here.
Yeah, on the card, but you know what? This is okay. Proxy place 4 proxy.
Yeah, they have one hit point and 2 movement points, and
that's not it. What I asked, they actually have
proxy.
something.
Those are
yeah.
That's
the card explains it. What part of
yes,
what?
but that's not it. That's not the.
That's not the card. That's not the SOF card. Yeah, right.
No, I will find what I'm talking about in a second. Just give me a second. I will find them.
I'm going through the.
Oh yeah, I think I'm close to them.
The NATO.
Okay,
cards.
this is choose a friendly. No, this guy, for instance, Halo insertion. Place a red soft marker or any land hex. This unit can always engage in defensive ground assault combat, so it can only defend.
Yeah.
Right. What can it do? It cannot attack offensively or move, but deals damage if attacked. This unit does not have Zor. What can it be used for then? Just to block hex for one turn?
Yeah, like say you're assaulting a beach hex, you could insert them in the approaches to it.
Or just
maybe because that's the only use I can see for them. Although I see there is a card where special operation forces attacks, and I need to see if you can use it to use these forces. Yeah, I don't know, but this game requires really the knowledge of the cards you have.
It's their. They're special ops. Hidden, and they don't want to reveal themselves until necessary. Really, ultimately, I think.
Yeah, maybe, but I was wondered what they can do. I love the image on the censorship. I love the image on the censorship card.
The proxy forces can move. So
yeah, they can. They actually look like a unit, but I wondered what special operation forces can do. Yeah, they are.
They're a little bit pricier too. So.
Because you can drop them almost anywhere. Oh. Okay.
Well, right.
Okay, because there is a. Oh, okay. Okay, I will need to look through these cards because
Yeah,
I
just
don't.
take your time and do that.
And
Okay.
just walk through the full turn. So each task
Yeah.
force gets an impulse, and I have 3, and
Yeah.
you have 3. So
And
there'll be
this
3
one-
impulses per turn. Okay, yeah.
Right. And then the in this scenario, the scenario description should say who has initiative first, and they can decide to go first or second, usually. And then the cards, there are some optional rules around pooling CPs or splitting them up. But ultimately the card pool can be used by anyone. So that's an interesting, that comes into play interestingly, if there's contention between the players as far as where they need to use something or not, right? Anything else around that?
I need to check how do I move, because I see I have this littoral movement units, and this is the only way I can move my forces towards the Taiwan, right?
Correct.
So they have. Oh, and you asked Walter about where will I land. From what I see, I have only 4 movement points per turn, so you will have
Right,
plenty
they
of
have-
time to see where I
Yeah.
move them.
6
Well,
ISR
right.
tokens representing littoral movement JCCs for free. They may embark during deployment. ISR marker. Keep studious track of which marker is carrying which units on paper. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
I placed card for it on the map, so you can see what it is.
Right.
So,
So they will be plodding across the street, and I will be
Yeah.
able to shoot
yes,
at them.
they have 4 movement points, so it will take some time for them to get there.
I'm put in mind of the German attempt at a naval landing on Crete, which
Yeah.
did not go
Okay.
as well as the paratroopers.
So, if I understand correctly, I need to place this marker somewhere here, embark my guys on the marker, right? Marker
That's probably the
deploy.
easiest way to do it. I would put
Yeah.
the ground markers below it. And
Yeah,
then
but
put
can I embark them at the beginning of the game, or
Yes.
as part of setup? I can embark
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. During deployment, so before the game gets rolling, you can have.
There are some rules on where you can deploy them as far as the JCCs themselves, but
No,
and then
yeah, I
each
can.
one
From what I see, I can deploy them only in ports or unoccupied coastal hexes, right?
seems about
And
right. Yeah, based on
that's
based
what's
on-
on card. So anywhere here
Any
from base.
friendly or unoccupied
You
coastal.
look at the scenario setup.
Yeah, I will look at.
And then click on the beachhead, and it says where you can put them. The last bullet item for plan.
Okay.
It says which hexes you can put them in.
O9
So-
P9Q8. They may deploy in J15, I15, or I17. So you have.
Okay, I will try to then develop my plan and set up tomorrow before game, hopefully.
Right, and you might. I mean, yeah. Just remember that I have the save file, so let me go ahead and save the game.
Yeah, I know. I just think about it, so I don't need to think about it during play. From what I see, I have stacks and I can place 4 units. Can I place all of them? Wait, I have. Oh, how many? Oh, so 6 times 4, 24 units in total I can place from what I see. Right, 4.
Yeah, you can do 4 per card, so 25.
So I
20.
can't move. Okay, because I see Charlie. No, what's Charlie? Because I see I have.
Yeah, I don't know if you can
And
move all of them. Probably. I mean, I would think that it's designed so you can move all of them, but I don't know.
yeah, but apparently. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, some stacks are smaller, so I think it's okay because not all stacks have 4. Yeah, I think it's designed so I can move all of them because I see not all stacks have. It's 4, 8.
The other thing is this scenario is designed for 6 turn limit. I don't know if that needs to be potentially moved to like 8 or 10 because I just don't know how you can possibly I mean, we'll see how far we get, but I just don't know if you have enough time to even get anywhere near Taipei. First of all,
Yeah, if you're at a coastal hex, right, it's going to take you right. You'll be landing on the
probably
north
at
end of the
least.
island, so on. Yeah. Or
So
pick a
like if
different.
you're going 4, that's gonna take you at least 2 or 3 turns just to get to
It's
Taiwan.
from the broadest point it takes.
What we'll do, we'll
Three
just
turns.
if it makes sense to go beyond 6 turns, then we'll go beyond. If it's just a foregone conclusion at that point, so be it. But
Yes.
I don't
I
mind.
guess
They
the
will-
theory is this is a coup de main.
Yeah,
there'd be tons of Taiwanese units beyond what's represented here past that.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, yeah. That's exactly right. What it's showing you, or what it's trying to teach you, is the EAOB, the Marine, smaller, forward deployed enclaves of units, right? And how they are effective in the landing only, really, ultimately, right? I think it's this is very much more of this is an educational scenario on the landing itself, not necessarily the
right
takeover.
Probably.
I've yet to see Taiwan be successful at this, although I've definitely seen advanced players use this. A key to this is cyber, I'm going to say.
Yep.
Like if you can really effectively knock out the offensive capabilities of these USMC units, I don't know, that I've seen people do pretty well in this. And win quotation marks by victory points, but not, definitely not take over Taiwan, which is interestingly probably what would happen too, right?
I think this is why there hasn't been a war. Is they sit down to the plan and go, okay, it's not a sure thing. Yeah,
I'm going to send a copy of this to Beijing. No, seriously, wargaming should be a war deterrent.
Yeah, it should.
Amen.
Because
if you learn nothing else today, dear listener, wargaming should be a war deterrent.
If anybody from Beijing is listening, which they probably are,
I need to find this great quote by H.G. Wells about that. I will need. When he made Small Soldiers, he wrote somewhere that maybe if people played more, because he even faced criticism for making a war game in 1910 before World War One, and he said, yeah, maybe if people play war more, they may not have time to do real war or something like that. I need to find it.
Fascinating.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it there because I gotta go here. Sorry.
All right. But, cheers. Yeah, we'll plan on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool.
See you tomorrow.
See ya.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Have a good one.